Rory doubles down and says that he still believes Joe Budden did something funny with the finances.
I don't disagree. I feel, back to my original answer, I feel like Maul has every single right to feel that way. That's my feeling when he says it. I feel like Maul is allowed to say that, get that off based off all the information that we were given. Now, so to Joe's point before, on whatever Christmas Eve clip I caught, no, there has been no lawsuit. There has been no forensic auditing. So, in actual based there, time may tell. I do not disagree with Maul. I think fully, as my story has not changed, you can go back to the Vimeo. So it's free on YouTube now.
Okay.
Everything was mishandled within finances. And it was called out and it was caught and then it was resent and it was more. We have not changed our story on that. Now, I understand that like the thief word is a huge word and can be triggering to anyone being accused of it. Go back to that Vimeo thing and listen to us break down. And there's no three sides to that story. Everything I told there was the absolute truth with receipts. I can
Lawyer.
also disagree with Maul in at this point now harboring in on that point publicly. Never happened once where I was nitpicking
Did you
at
complain about
who
the
was.
pizzas?
No, I don't even know what they're talking about in that regard. Never once did I get mad about what people were being paid. That's a complete lie. My biggest issue was a $400,000 admitted accounting mistake. So this minuscule nitpicking at things, nah, I nitpicked at $400,000 that made no sense to me, and then you guys came back and said, "Oh yeah, you're right." So what are we really doing here? Oh, and that's not too. They've all admitted that. You guys always kind of miss the things that they admit when they're trying to spin narratives that actually equal up to everything that I'm saying.
That's right. On a recent Twitter space I did, I got to talk to the son of Jake. But not only the son of Jake, I also got to talk to the eight, aka Maul. And it was a fascinating discussion as Rory and Maul aired out their long standing grievances with Joe Budden. And they got to their beliefs about the accounting. And I must say, not a lot has changed about their beliefs that Joe Budden might have been a cat burglar, a thief, and somebody who was stifling the podcast profits in order to hoard the profits of his podcast for himself. Now, it's important to remember that this is my interpretation, but the clip I just played, I feel, is indicative of that notion. So, what did Rory say? Rory said that the finances for the podcast were not ran the most smoothly and that Joe might have been doing something funny with the money. That's just kind of what I heard. And it's important to remember that this is all happening on Twitter Spaces. And the reason that Rory is even addressing this is because over the last few days, Joe Budden has been hopping on Twitter Spaces, which is essentially Twitter's clubhouse, and saying things like he wants to disprove everything that Rory is saying, calling Rory a liar, saying that Rory is making things up. So, this is what prompted Rory to go on Twitter Spaces and dispute some of the claims that Joe Budden has been making. I think it's fascinating. I think Rory has turned a new leaf and is no longer letting Joe Budden kind of be the proactive one in terms of getting his narrative out there. We will see how Joe Budden responds. I know that when Joe Budden was in this space I was hosting, he tried to come up, but we kind of had an agreement that it was just supposed to be a Rory space and that we did not want that to happen because I truly feel that if Joe Budden comes up, it just becomes a shouting match and we really don't get to the bottom of anything. And one more thing that's also interesting is that Maul joined a little bit later and doubled down on his beliefs that Joe is a thief, but he also addressed some of the most interesting mysteries of the Joe Budden podcast with Rory and Maul. The detergent. Did Vern pull up to beat up Maul or Rory? And a lot more. And I'm just letting y'all know, over the next few days, I will be breaking down more content from that and sharing it here. But follow me on Twitter so that way you can see the content in full. I'm just going to be clipping it up here in order to capture the full context. I think you need to listen to the whole conversation. But once again, let me know what you think in the comments. Is Rory manipulating the situation? Is Joe Budden manipulating the situation? How do you think the fan bases will react? I can say that both fan bases are hunkered down. So I think even if they saw the actual truth of what happened, they would refuse to believe it if it wasn't favorable to the podcast that they prefer. And I think that's why this whole thing continues to live on in history, and we won't be able to move on. I gotta be honest, I don't even know if I want to move on. I think I enjoy this. I think I enjoy breaking down these podcasts. Let me know what you think in the comments. Follow me on Twitter. This is my video for today. I got a lot more content coming. I mean, I had a Twitter space with Ian Dunlop, Manny, Rory, Joe, but Joe told me I couldn't post it on here. Man, I got to tell you, it's a lot of weird stuff going on. All right, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.